CalFlora, and we're now located in downtown Berkeley, the David Brower Center. That's really exciting. Yay! And we are a plants database. Just show of hands, how many of you have used CalFlora before? And how many of you have put your plant observations, your data into CalFlora? Almost you.
No,
we didn't have time this morning.
Logging in, so.
And for those of you who use CalFlora, just what do you usually do on CalFlora so you get an idea?
Try to figure out plants, ID plants.
ID plants. Anybody use it for anything other than plant IDs?
Like species ranges and I'm a project manager, not a field scientist, so I don't always remember all the listing status of every, so I'm just looking stuff up and like, the rankings and ranges and requirements, all,
The distribution, status.
Right.
Yeah, really to figure out if it's native or invasive. I often get plant palettes and I'm like, what is this plant? Is this native to the region? So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Here's our team. I'm going to go over, this is my agenda. I have until 1, right? And I want to leave 10 minutes for questions. Is that how these things work? Okay. CalFlora Basic, Observation Hotline, which is a way to query data. What grows here, which is another way to query data. Create an illustrative plant list. If you're going to go hiking, you can do that on your phone or hard copy. Our planting guide, so if you do any restoration, Coastal Conservancy, so those of you doing restoration at a certain location, you can choose that location and see what would grow well there based on some constraints that you add. And then collecting data using a smartphone. What are we? We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're a plant database. We provide information on wild California plants for conservation, education, and appreciation. Our 20th birthday is next year as a nonprofit. What are we not? This is also important. We are not part of the UC system. We are not part of CalPhotos, which is part of the UC system. We are not part of CalIPSI, which is the California Invasive Plant Council, which is a nonprofit. We are not part of CNPS, which is the California Native Plant Society, which is another nonprofit. All the Cals, people get them mixed up, understandably. So I just want to clarify what we are. We're our own deal.
Question about that?
Yes.
Do you coordinate with California Native Plant Society?
Yes, there's a lot of overlap, and I go to chapter meetings, and they add their data to CalFlora, and they're very active in CalFlora. And so is that your question?
Yeah, don't they have their own database too?
They have CalScape, which is sort of similar to our planting guide, but they only use consortium data, so that's the specimens, the pressed data, and they don't have quite the depth of data that CalFlora has, and the algorithms are a little different. So if you compare the results on CalScape to the results on the planting guide, they're often a little different. And so when you say, do they have their own database, they don't have their own plant database, but they use the consortium database to create CalScapes. And then we also have a consortium feed. We have millions of observations, about 3 million, and about 1 million of those comes from the specimens, the press data from the UC system. We also serve iNaturalist data. We also serve EDD mass data, which is out of Georgia. It's an invasive plant, or it's an invasive disease database, and we just serve the invasive plant. So we get a variety of data feeds. Oh, my ulterior motive. Right. Here they are. They're not so ulterior now. I want you all to add your wild plant observations to CalFlora. I want you to comment on other people's observations if you're knowledgeable and you know that you don't think there's something wrong or it's a beautiful picture or whatever. Just be part of the CalFlora community. Submit feedback about what could be more useful and for instance, for your work at Coastal Conservancy, what you need that we maybe don't have yet. And I also would, when I was talking with Brenda about this and wanted to come in and present to you guys, I want to figure out more ways that we can partner with organizations, whether they're nonprofits, state organizations, private organizations, whatever they are, agencies, and work more closely helping people who are either doing on-the-ground work or more legislative work. So that's part of what I'm here too. This is what we're best known for, I think. What's your name?
Dave.
Dave was saying he looked at distributions. So is this Oh, yeah, here's a, well, that'll work. That'll work. I can point to here. So we have the scientific name, the common name. If it's related to pests and pathogens, we have a database we created about pests and pathogens. Distribution by watershed, observation hotline, plant characteristics. We have this bloom wheel for every species where relevant, showing when it's blooming, which month. So for this one, it's February through June. And then we have these photos. And we used to have 4 static photos, and now we have unlimited photos. You can size the photos, so now here they are large. And this is one of our big projects we've been working on for the last year and a half, getting more and better photos into CalFlora. We sometimes use CalPhotos photos, which makes it even more confusing because you might click on one of these and be taken to CalPhotos. So that's another reason why people are confused about us. But CalPhotos photos can be excellent, and we don't want to not use them. So we're trying to just make it really clear. We're not part of CalPhotos. They share their photos with us, which is great. And family, genus, and then you can see even more photos. This is what we're best known for. And we call these our taxon report pages. All 10,000 wild plant species in the state, whether it's a parent or a so-called child, like a subspecies or variety, have their own distribution page like this. This is the model that we work with, data in and data out. So if we have knowledgeable people putting data in, and that doesn't mean you have to be a botanist, just that you happen to know what something is and you're there and it's growing in the wild, and you put it into CalFlora. And then it helps the researchers, students, botanists, ecologists, land managers, and conservationists who are using the database. So obviously we're only as good as our data, and if we don't have the correct distribution, if there's a county missing, that's really important. We need to get that in there. And for invasive plants, so for instance, jinkwort, if it travels to Trinity County, we need to know about it so that all the alarms go off. We have these email alerts, which I don't have time to talk about today, but you can set up email alerts so that you find out when a certain species, invasive, rare, or whatever, enters a certain area in the state. We only cover California. This is just a little testimonial from Bonnie Nickel, an avid user. I spend a lot of time looking at species on CalFlora, what an incredible, useful resource it is. So she's not part of an agency. She's just an everyday person who's into plants, and she's a good botanist. I also like to use CalFlora as a travel journal. So I've been using it for about 8 years. I'm not a botanist. I have my degree. I have an MS in GIS, so I'm a database person. But in these past 8 years, I was working with Calypsy and then CalFlora, so I've learned a lot about plants. And I do add data to the database as I go along in my travels in California, visiting CNCF chapters, visiting other organizations. I mean, I live in the East Bay, so coming here, I'm not really going to do any observations. But on Sunday, I'm leading a hike in Edgewood Park. If any of you want to join, I can give you the information on that. Do you know the difference between purple and pink? What might that be?
Native, non-native.
What is it?
Native, non-native.
That's a great guess. Native, non-native. It's not it. I'll just tell you because it's kind of tricky. And you guys aren't land managers. The land managers will give a little harder time. Are you land managers?
No. We give money to land managers.
Okay. And I also don't want to forget I brought you guys. We have these new CalFlora stickers that our outreach director ordered. Don't forget to get one of those. The pink is a polygon or a line, and the purple is a point. And if you're collecting arundo next to a river, it might make sense instead of doing here's some arundo and here's another arundo plant and here's another arundo plant, just do the whole line along the river and say there's 100 plants or about how many plants there are. Or if you're looking at goat grass, another invasive species, and there's a couple acres of it, you just draw a polygon around the area and say within that polygon there's about this many plants or this percent cover or however you want to tally it. And different agencies, I know you guys don't collect data, plant data for your work, but a lot of agencies do, and they collect data differently, so we have data collection forms customized on a per agency basis when they want that. So if you need percent cover, if you need number of plants, if you need to collect a point with a radius to create kind of a circle polygon, all those are available in our customized forms. Where does our funding come from? About 35% is from individuals. 40% is for fee-for-service work, like someone says, we need this customized form, or we need what grows here to have another query field in it. or we need an extra feature on Weed Manager. So we scope it, we say this is about how much it's going to cost, and then we build it out. That's fee-for-service work, and then 25% comes from Weed Manager, which is an invasive plant management system that we rolled out in 2014. And anybody who's managing invasive plants, like for a China project, could use it, except Ingrid has her own GIS system going, and that's fine. So, but a lot of agencies who are managing invasive plants, you track your treatments, if there are any treatments, you track where the species are, what the species are, and then you create reports to submit to the county for any chemical use, to your supervisors, to your board, saying this is what we did, this is how much money we spent, this is how much labor we put into it, and if you're effective or not in dealing with your invasive species. Any questions about any of that?
Does CalFlora use it?
CalFlora, funny, since they don't manage lands, they don't use, they're part of a Weed Manager group, but they don't actually use the system, but they have a lot of opinions. And so, do you know Doug?
No.
Okay, he's great. He used to be a supervisor, and he's very opinionated. And so he says, well, I think Weed Manager should have this. I'm like, okay, I think Weed Manager, and we're like, okay, well. So basically, they have a lot of input without actually. We also, a newish thing in CalFlora, every single map has map layers that you can turn on. And the map layers include CPAD, which stands for California Protected Areas Database, watersheds. So all those turquoise or pastel colored polygons right now, I have CPAD turned on in this map. So those are protected areas. You could turn on watersheds and see all the watersheds in the state, or for whatever sub-watersheds if you're looking at a narrow section of the state. Quads, if you want to look at quadrangles. Jepson regions, and CNPS chapters, and there's a lot more options under layers depending on what it is that you're doing and what you're interested in. And that way you can query by just one of those. So if you see a protected area that you're interested in, you click on it, then you can see which plants grow there. Here's the state CNPS chapters, with another layer available. And here's a list of layers: watershed, protected area, CalFlora project, CNPS chapter, zip code, MLRA, which stands for Major Land Resource Area, 4ETA zone, which is related to evapotranspiration, quadrangle, ecoregion, and then there's also climate. You can look at climate for any part of the state, and soil factors for any part of the state. And then I put a red circle around my name up there. Everything is personalizable to you if you log into CalFlora. So my observations are my observations. You can only like photos if you're logged in a view. Like, so it's kind of a social media thing. Every plant photo on CalFlora, you can like it if you want to. And you can create alerts. You can create plant lists. If you're looking for a specific list of plants, you can create all this stuff. But you can use CalFlora without being logged in, but to do the special stuff for you, you do need to be logged in. Here's more pastel protected areas down in Southern California. Okay, so our database contains 10,000 native and introduced species. Those are all wild plant species growing in the state of California. 2 million plant location observations. That includes points, lines, and polygons. Actually, we're up to 3 million now. 30,000 relationships between old and new plant names. As you know, the plant names change. We crosswalk them all together, so you can look up an old name or old name or old name, and you'll still find it. And that's constantly going to change with genetics. There's always like new families and new species, like the mimulus are now duplicates, or not all of them are, some of them are, so things are always going to change, and we just keep up with that. Over 300,000 plant photos, a lot of them from CalPhotos, but more and more coming from CalFlora observers. We have about 70,000 unique e-visitors each month, 2,500 a day, and then 3,000 active data contributors, and apparently none of you are in that group yet.
I just sent you.
Oh, good. Great.
Let's go, Brenda.
She'll be in there soon.
Doesn't the California Natural Diversity Database also love plants?
Yeah, we serve their data too. That's another one that we serve. NRDB. Yeah. So we serve NRDB, INAT, CCH, EDD maps.
I'm thinking of Fish and Wildlife Natural Diversity Database.
CNDDB.
Yeah.
CNDDB, we serve at the quad level.
When you say you serve it, you mean you bring it into your database,
right?
And you're giving them data.
Both. Actually, both. When I say we serve it, I mean that we bring it into our database and serve it to you. Yeah. But it actually happens to go both ways in this case. They take our point locations for our rare plants that they want and serve them their way. And then we serve their data at the quadrangle level because rare plants are, there's a lot of, we shouldn't serve the exact locations of a lot of the rare plants, so we just generalize it to the quad. And as an observer of rare plants, you can generalize, you can obscure your observation and generalize it to the quarter quad. Yes.
So if we use iNaturalist, that's showing up in your?
It should be if it's research grade, but we've had a lot of problems with our iNaturalist feed, and they have changed the format recently. So if it's not, then there's a problem with the feed. I mean, we of course prefer the kind of native CalFlora observations, not native plants, but like originating in CalFlora. But because so many people are using these other platforms, it behooves us to serve those data too. So I guess the short answer is probably you'll see it if it's research grade. This community, in INAT, the community decides what the species is. So even if you're an excellent botanist, you can get overruled. And sometimes we've found that while locations are very accurate in iNaturalist, the identification, even if it's research grade, is not very reliable. And then people say, you know, this is wrong, and they send it to us, and it's a link to something in iNaturalist. Well, sorry, that's not us. But yeah, does that answer your question? So with these millions of plant observations, how do you find what you're looking for? There's not just one way, there's multiple ways. We're going to go over two. Observation hotline and what grows here are two. You'll find those links on the home page. Here's the home page. You can also search this by plant name using the name wizard. That's a type ahead because scientific names are really tricky. So once you type a few letters, it'll give you your options for genus and then also species. Here's the link to Observation Hotline from our homepage. I think Observation Hotline needs a new name because kids these days don't even know what a hotline is. But we haven't come up with a good name yet. What grows here, I think, is pretty aptly named, like named what grows here. You pick a location, what grows there. In the Discrete Observation Hotline, what grows here, Observation Hotline shows you all the observations for one area, so it might be 1,000 observations for one park. And what grows here shows you the species. So it might be 100 species, 1,000 observations all in one park. So if you want to see all the observations, you can load them into your phone. You can go and revisit them. If you want to go track something down, you can put it into our app, which is called Observer Pro, and go track it down. Or do you just want to see what generally grows well in this area? So that would be what grows here. And there's a link to our planting guide on our homepage too. The query fields and Observation Hotline and what grows here are slightly different. And I just showed you the query fields for Observation Hotline. And so you can search by scientific name, common name, by status, is it native or not. Start date if you only want new observations, end date if you only want before a certain date. Observer, you only want to see David Popp. Brenda and I were just looking at some David Popp observations. He's an excellent botanist. You can search by location description, and under other sources, you'll see CCH and INAT. You can choose to include those or not. And then in selected area or a map area, or you can draw your own polygon. Or if you're logged in, you can upload your own, like if the Coastal Conservancy has properties or plans that you're, like up, I think Peter is up the coast somewhere right now, so he could pull in shape files for that area that he is looking at right now and just look at within that polygon that he's pulled in as a shapefile what grows in that area and just observe it. And then the results show up down below in the map and as a list. Here they are again. Purple is what? Points. Pink is lines and polygons. And these are all, I think my query was all native plants published after 2012 in this area. And then here's the list of results. So you can see the map, you can click on the dots on the map, or you can see the species name, the photo, if there is one, the observer, the date, county, and then the location description. You notice that top one, if you have good eyes, it says #fire. So we have a post-fire data collection form and to track change over time and how things are doing after fires. So anything that someone collects using that post-fire data collection form will come in with a hashtag fire. So it's easy to search for in their location description, hashtag fire in a certain region. You can see what has changed there since whatever fire. And the name of the fire is listed in the notes section of this observation. It was too much for the screen to put the notes section. Any questions about how you can see these results?
So those photos aren't necessarily the ones that person took?
They are.
They are.
That's a great question. So in this case, this is observation hotline. We're looking at observation hotline, this area, I think I was saying LA County, native plants, and these are the observers, that is their photo. And what grows here, I'll show you how that looks. That has like 3 photos, and it's not a specific observation. This is specific observation. These happen to be great photos. Not everybody takes excellent photos, and that's fine. If you take an excellent photo, we can use it as a reference photo. And if you don't, fine. You don't even have to take a photo.
If you don't take a photo, how can you verify?
How is everybody else going to know? So that's what it is. Especially if it's outside its range.
Sure.
So then people, I would recommend that if it's outside its range, you should put the photo in. And people know you as, what's your name? Lisa. So if they know, oh, Lisa, she's a street botanist, I trust her, even if you don't have a photo. It's a community and people know each other.
Yeah.
But if they don't know you, and it's outside its range, then they should.
2 photos.
Yeah.
Or you can have 100 photos. You have many photos as you want. There's unlimited spots for photos. So then they'll question it.
Yeah.
And they should, and that's good. And then they write a comment like, hey, do you have photos? You say, no, but I'm sure, or I'm not sure. I mentioned map layers earlier, how above every map you can turn on these layers. County lines, streams. Region is where we saw the CPAD and the watersheds in the CNPS chapter. Under climate, you can look at annual precipitation, wet season, temperature, temperature, all these climate factors that you might be interested in. So every single location on the map has this data embedded in it. Okay, now we're going to talk about what grows here. If you compare this to the observation hotline query fields, it's a little bit different. It's because people are looking for different things. So you can search for low water tolerant plants, riparian, shade tolerant, commercially available. We also link to CNPLX, which shows you which nurseries sell which plants. You can do your plant filter. I really like this bloom month down at the bottom of plant filter because, like, for instance, this Sunday, I'm leading a hike in Edgewood. I want to know in Edgewood Park what's blooming in September, and I want to know where it is. So I'm going to load blooming things onto my phone so that when I'm leading this hike, I can say, woo, look, because I have never actually been to this park, but I can say, I think right over here we might find this species, and it'll be blooming. Woo, wow. So that's, I'll be honest, oh my God, this information, but that's a fun one. 2 or more photos if you're an excellent botanist. How many of you are like really good, legit botanists? Okay, that's okay. So if you're a really good botanist, there's a list of 900 species that are lacking photos, and that's a good way to figure out which ones they are. There are species most people don't know what they are, which is why they're lacking photos. You can change the results. You can change how you order results. Location quality, if you only want high location quality, if you're going to load it onto Observer Pro, that's a good place to change it here. A lot of the CCH, the press specimen, or Barrier records have very low location quality, so those will be most of the time excluded. Minimum records per plant, if you only want to look for something that like grows all over the place where you're going. Do you want to come a little closer?
I'm fine.
I hear I'm going against your culture to be asking people who it is. So minimum records per plant, if you change that to 10, it'll be only the really common or the things that grow a lot in that area. You can look in selected backgrounds to look in a specific watershed or a CPAT, a protected area. You can draw your own polygon. You can save your polygons, use them again, and then you can create your palette and you reuse it again if you want to see the native plants in a certain color and the non-native plants in a certain color or any kind of, you can basically make maps in CalFlora. If you're not a GIS person, you can do it in CalFlora, or even if you are. And you can search by plant list, you create your own plant list. Here's the results in what grows here. So you see them on the map, and then you get a list. And you can create an illustrated plant list out of that has, for this area, here's what I think Lisa was asking. talking about with the 3 photos that are not tied to a specific observation. It's the 3 best photos we have for these species. You see the scientific name, the common name, native, annual, perennial, family, and the blue whale again. And you can create this little illustrate plant list and print it and take it with you hiking, which helps if you're not so great at IDs. Put it on your phone, however you want to do it. You don't need any connectivity in the field, so if you're going into Kings Canyon or you're going under canopy, then that's okay. To have Observer Pro observations on your phone, you load them beforehand, you don't need connectivity after that. Here's just another nice, I don't know, people like plant photos, right? So here's another results page with some pretty pictures, bloom whales, names of species. If you do want to see where the observations are and what grows here, you can have them pop up on the map by clicking on the number of records. And if you don't want the pictures, you can also get rid of them. You can just print out a list like this. You can throw it into Excel, print it out in Excel. As if it's a long list, it might be too many pages of photos. Okay, so any questions before I move on to the planting guide? Okay. So some of you do restoration work, and if you want to try the planting guide, you click on a location on the map. It cut off a little bit of the map for the screenshot. We'll do it live in a minute. And then you say if it's low, at the very top it says low water, riparian, and shade. Can you guys see that in the back? And then you can look for wild plants in the same county within 10 miles. You can decide to or not to use soil factors to choose your plants. You can omit plants at the edge of their tolerances and decide if you only want things that are easy to establish. So based on which boxes you check, your results list will be different. And if 9 seems about right to you, then you can leave it like that. If that's too many or too few, then you change your criteria. And our algorithm is based on the soil data, the climate data, and the plant data that we have. And we run this algorithm when you click search, and it pulls up these results. Our planting guide is a few years old now. When we first released it, people in the desert didn't get very many results. We had to loosen the constraints in the desert a little bit. But since then, I think. Any questions about the planting guide? We're going to do that one live. Here, this yellow box in the middle and the planting guide just shows you the factors going into the algorithm. Elevation, precipitation, wet season, temperature range. I mean, all the factors that are climate and soil related, plus where the plant grows, which we know from our distribution.
Are you thinking about climate change at all and factoring that in? Like, what's the future of climate going to be?
We did, when I worked at CalFlora, we ran some models, hotter, wetter, hotter, drier, hotter, no change, I think. Those 3 models on invasive plants to see how their distribution changed based on different climate models. And what you can do in CalFlora is track change over time. So you, I don't know if I have a slide on this. Kind of for, I do day-long training, so this is compressing everything into an hour, which is why I'm like flying through it all. But you can create history stacks. So if you went somewhere in 2000, you went there in 2005, 20, every 5 years, and you saw this population of, I don't know, like some native plant that you're concerned. Is there a native plant you're concerned about? No. Does anybody have a plant that they're kind of watching?
No. We do a lot of climate modeling.
Okay.
So we're just wondering if you do.
Western redbud.
Western redbud. Okay, so where are you worried about the western redbud?
In my backyard.
So not wild. So you have more control over something in your backyard. You can choose to water it or not. You can put a little shade patch over it. But things that are growing wild where you don't.
Let's say it's until this part.
Okay, until then. Western redbud until then. So you went there in 2000. You went there every 5 years, or every year since 2000, and you saw that its range was contracting. And you can note that change in CalFlora with your polygon. Like there's this. It used to be 1 acre, and then it was half an acre, and now we're down to a 1/4 acre, and I'm really concerned, and I think it's not getting enough water, or it's too hot, or you cut down the eucalyptus, and now it doesn't have any shade, or whatever. We're a database, so you can track all of that in CalFlora, note it, and then send the hyperlink showing this is what happened, or you can actually extract the observations in a GIS file or Excel and send it and share it. We don't do the research. So we leave that up to the people who do research like you guys. And you can use all the data you want out of CalFlora. It does actually sometimes show change over time due to climate change or due to other things, due to fires, well, which might also be related, is probably related to climate change. But we don't actually run the climate models and do that research yourself. But you can use all the data and do that. Good idea, don't let people do it. So that's the planting guide. And as climate change progresses, the soil and climate factors will change. And we get our soil data from Surgo and our climate data from PRISM, which is up in Oregon. So if they're changing their baseline data for that, whatever area you're looking at in the state, if they submit new data, then we absorb it and it's reflected in the planting guide. Does anybody want to guess what the butterfly might mean? Butterfly? Yeah, it's a pollinator. Yeah, so in addition to the name and common name, photos, blue mail, if it's a pollinator, we know that too. I mentioned map making CalFlora, whether you're GIS related or not. You can decide for your inland scrub oak, you want it to be this blue dash. And so everywhere on the map where you were looking at the Quercus will turn into this blue dash, and you can share that URL with your colleagues, with your friends, and it'll maintain your so-called palette, your icons. You can also print it, you can share it with people, whatever you want to do. And you can have a specific plant list so that only these 5 species are on it, or you can have fewer or more, or whatever you want. The sort of the beauty of CalFlora and also the complexity of CalFlora is you can do so much. And it's like so sophisticated that sometimes people are like, whoa, I don't need all that. Like, I just need like very basic stuff, which you can get, but they sometimes get thrown off by the more sophisticated end of CalFlora. Collecting data using a smartphone. I would encourage all of you to download Observer Pro. It's free. I have most of these slides because a lot of the groups I present to don't necessarily even have smartphones, and if they do have a smartphone, don't really know how to use apps. So
What age group are we?
I wasn't going to say that, but so I'm going to fly through these slides because I think you guys probably know all about apps.
Why the term hotline?
That's what it works.
Yeah, you guys know hotline.
They don't know smartphones, they know it all.
Hotline, how do I use my phone?
Let's see, I'll be.
Observer Pro was originally built on Android back in 2012. And so the thing about phone apps is they're really expensive and they have to be maintained, which is also expensive. And we didn't build our iOS app until we had funding to do it, which wasn't until about 4 years ago. And we're still, it's good and it works, but it's more bumpy than the Android one is. So if you're easily frustrated and you have an iPhone, I would just take pictures of the plants and then upload them. We have a photo upload you can use, and don't use the app yet. Wait maybe a few months. But if you have an Android, just go ahead and download it, and it's easy peasy. You do need to log into CalFlora, so create a login if you don't have one. That's also free.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find Observer Pro, and
Yeah.
Observer Pro here is an astronomy one.
You have to put CalFlora first.
CalFlora Observer Pro.
I'm not happy with that name. I think we should just call it CalFlora.
Yeah, because then you get into a whole bunch of Ghost Observer. Like,
Something like that.
I wish I were kidding. I'm really not.
I believe you.
Yeah, all right.
I think we should call it CalFlora. I've fought this fight and I lost it, and I maybe should fight this fight again.
And I don't mean
I'll
that
tell them
really,
you guys
I
said
actually
it.
really do
Yeah.
want it.
Yeah.
There it is, CalFlora Observer Pro.
Yeah. I can't remember who exactly the fight was with. I think it might have been the president report, but I need to reach out again. This isn't working. You can draw polygons in the app. If you want to, you can draw them remotely, or you can walk them and drop your vertices as you walk. The iPhone and Android are a little bit different in the UX UI, the user experience, user interface. And we just, in the most recent release of iPhone, changed this to a little plus instead of a magnifying glass, because magnifying glass means search and not observe. So little things like that, you know, constant improvements, moving along. If it crashes, touch this button when you go back in and send us a report, a log, so we can figure out why it crashed. It's actually really, really helpful. And the bumpier, it's not the huge mountains of bumpiness we had originally, but it's still a little bumpy, so that's really helpful. And Android, I doubt you'll have problems because there's an envelope on there too. Here's how you can pull in published historical observations onto the app. There's session on the left, map in the middle, and project on the right. There's this guy named Tier Morse who is getting his PhD in Malacosamnus, and he's trying to figure out if he's a lumper or a splitter. And he collects a lot of Malacosamnus data and adds it to CalFlora, and then he wants to go and revisit those. So that's what's going on in the map right now. It's all the Malacosamnus that he's going to. A couple pink polygons, the rest are just purple points. And then you, being that green dot just south of LA, can go and find whichever Malacosamnus you want to go for. And it's also much more straightforward on Android, creating those maps. I mentioned point lines and polygons. You can do any of them in either app. You can travel to your project observations or other people's observations based on where you are. Revisit them and then create those history stacks to change over time.
And this is on the online.
This is on the app. Yeah. The drawing a polygon in iOS, you just like drag your finger across the circle. In Android, you drop the vertices. We can't control that. It's just different. I'm really visual and I like to visualize pancakes. So here is history stack capability 2016, 2017, 2018. So you had a polygon, we could use our goat grass example, an acre of goat grass in 2016. Maybe the percent cover had increased, but the size of your pancake polygon had not changed in 2017, and then in 2018, maybe you have even more. And then for those land managing agencies who use chemicals, maybe the syrup and the butter is the chemical they put on the goat grass, and in 2019, it'll be a smaller pancake or the percent cover will decrease again. Just showing how you can stack polygons on top of each other in CalFlora and create reports out of that. So you don't need a data plan, you don't need Wi-Fi in the field at all. I use iNat for non-plant observations, and one of the things that bothers me is that it's always uploading, like always connecting, it's like draining my battery, and it drives me crazy. So I just use Observer Pro on airplane mode and go in the field, and it doesn't drain my battery and all that thing, on Android especially. We'll be back the following year for a new assessment. You can do that on the app or on the website. And some people are really into accuracy, location accuracy. There are these GPS receivers you can pair via Bluetooth to your phone, whether you're on Android or iPhone, and they increase your accuracy. If that's something that's important to you. So the accuracy in this case is 2.2 meters, which is in the upper right corner. 10 satellites are in use. And here are the 4 GPS receivers that I've tested. The Bad Elf is good for iOS in the lower left, and the other 3 are good on Android, and they're about $80 to $100. I think the Bad Elf is a little bit more. Okay, now I want to go live.
Just hit escape.
Okay. I'm going to go live for 5 minutes, and then we'll have 10 minutes for questions. These are some of the really fun hikes, pictures of some of the really fun hikes that I lead. All right, I logged in as me, which means everything in here is going to be personalized to me, which I think is fine. Of those 3 things we talked about, observation hotline, what grows here, and the planting guide, which of those three would be the most useful to explore for a couple minutes live? I think that's what I was thinking. Okay. So where is an area that you guys are doing restoration? I'll just click there.
Yeah, all
All over the state.
South Bay, I don't know, wetland restoration, Alpisa.
Do you want to come, show me where?
Anybody else have an alternative location they want to?
Go to Ravenswood, Brenda. What should we plant?
There
Apart?
you go.
Something not.
We're not gonna plant anything in Mountain View, don't be naive.
It's already a good collaborative tool.
Yeah, that's
Right
Well, let's see. Is that low water riparian?
Well, we're building a dirt slope, so. Should be.
It'll
Don't
be
put it
the
in
upper
water.
end, the upper
Put
end.
it on more on the
Yeah.
land part.
Like there, or
Yeah,
even
sure.
further inland?
No, right there.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay, so should I?
That's low water.
Yes,
No water, yes, no.
Saline.
No shade.
Soil factor.
Yeah.
So we just run it now, we can change it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, look, soil value is not available.
Because of the landfill. I don't know.
Well, we can run it anyway without soil factors. That's interesting. Yeah. Ooh, 90.
Well, I'm sure.
So that's, if 90 is pull up the map so you can look at these results. Do these look like species that would grow older?
I think we're thinking more salt marsh, upper
Salt marsh, right? So I
Yeah.
guess that's interesting because we don't have some, we have riparian, but we don't have salt marsh.
Yeah.
I think that margin of the tidal area is, whether it's on the coast or in the bay, is where a lot of our projects are.
Can you find one that's not infill?
Maybe it'll have that's the wetland today.
Yeah, zoom out a little and like Greco Island, right? So just
Yeah.
slightly north of there, not that,
With the
at the top
natural
of your,
marshes.
top center of your mouth.
Yep,
right?
yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Still says soil value is not.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's not really soil, it's
Marsh.
tidal marsh, right? So
Yeah.
it's got plants growing right out of the bay mud.
Yeah, sure. Be there. Why not?
But you know what I mean, soil.
I would do.
4. Wow, that changed a lot.
It sounds like they're not doing a lot
But
of
this is
tidal
more like
wetlands.
what I would expect.
Yeah. This is like upper.
Kind of brushes at the upper end of.
Yeah. So it sounds like you don't have a lot of.
Picking up on.
Yeah. Sorry.
Somewhere in this, what are they, new one?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's working on some creek restoration. Napa, where is it? Just there?
I mean,
Do something on the Napa River, but I don't know where they are.
We'll just pick a random place that you plant, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Where did the soil values come from?
The soil what?
The soil values, like, that we're missing? Like, what's the soil data from?
Surgo, SSURGO. And it's, the polygons are not very small. in Surgo data. So it's kind of, it's the best soil data available, but it's not that great.
Well, I can see if it's like, if it's a lot of different stuff in one really
Yeah.
small area.
It doesn't work that well. Okay, so Point Reyes, sure. Riparian or no?
No.
Shade?
No. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. In the same county, let's see. Woo, that's a lot. Wow. the map. Scroll through these. Yeah.
So they're kind of just coastal scrub. Oh, wow. That's red ribbon.
Yeah. So that's an example of how you could use the planting guide. And if there isn't soil data available, you can still use it, but as you saw, the results aren't exactly what you expected, which is interesting. I just didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. Do you guys have any questions or want to go through anything else live?
I can send you the photo.
Oh, good. Oh, so how did you send it? Did you log in?
I logged
CalFlora?
in.
Good.
Yeah.
You logged into CalFlora, so we could go and see if you published it.
I don't know if I have my phone.
I need a hot one.
Yeah. So we could see if you actually, did you go to add observations
Yes.
and then photo upload?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Okay, so then did you publish it? Go to CalFlora and then My Observations here,
Okay.
and that would be super exciting. If you just have observations on your phone, you want to upload, you can use the app or you can just go to the website.
Like I've already done it.
Well.
Do you see it in My Observations?
Yeah.
And if you click on the ID, does it say published?
Unpublished.
Okay, so then just click publish.
Yeah.
Okay. Observation based on a photograph by Brenda Buxton, low quality.
Low
Yeah, it's not,
quality.
well, another place it was saying that it was low resolution or something like that.
There it is. Oh, it's not georeferenced. Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh, it's not? I thought it, oh, sorry.
It should be if you took it with your
Yeah,
phone now.
I did.
So is that an iPhone?
Yeah.
Because the iPhone has these new like privacy regulations where they strip the excess out of photos when you upload them.
Because here it's saying Fort Bragg, so.
That's really unfortunate. So what you can do is edit it and put it in Fort Bragg. You could do that.
Okay.
Just log in your computer.
Okay.
And
And I also, do you want people to put the name of what they think it is?
yeah.
Okay.
And if you're not sure what it is, we also have this group called Plant ID Help Group, and you can put the observation in that group.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
you want to do it live up here, Brenda?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Mendocino Botanical Garden, now that I'm looking at where I took it.
Well, that's okay as long as you say it's planted and not wild.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I mean, it could be wild, but it could also be planted. They have wild
They
stuff.
have wild
there.
stuff,
They
and
have
then they
them.
plant some stuff too.
Yeah.
Where are you all? Stickers.
Yeah.
And do you have Observer Pro or not yet?
No, I don't.
Because maybe it wouldn't strip the EXIF if you had Observer Pro.
Cool.
So you said there's a way to obscure like a rare
Yeah, do you want to
plant?
know how you obscure? It's new. With all the, have you guys heard about the Dudleya poaching?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we just.
Those aren't rare.
No, well, there is
Well,
a
they're
rare
getting
Dudleya.
rare.
There is one rare Dudleya, and then there's others that aren't rare, but they're worth, like $30 a pop. And so people are stripping them. So let's see, I'll log in as me again, and I can show you what I did to my Dubleyas. What?
My keyboard.
Tricky.
Yeah.
Very tricky.
All right, so you go to the home page. Oh, we're in the middle of our fun page. So you might have to always, if you donate, then this thing doesn't pop up anymore. I haven't donated yet. I need to donate, so close it. And then that striped coral root, it keeps blooming the more donations. Go to My Observations. So here are all my dahlias, and the ones that were in part of a survey, I just left them because surveys are very generalized. But the ones like this was, not part of a survey.
Oh, wow.
It's really pretty.
Is it in the canon? Yeah, mine is.
Sending them out.
Edit. You go to edit and then access by others, you can be published, unpublished, private, which if it's really rare, you might want to keep it private, and then obscured. So let's go back to published. That's where I really was. Joshua Tree. Okay, I was in Joshua Tree. And the quadrangle. So right now, the real location is in the southeast corner of the quadrangle. And if I go to up here, it takes it to the middle. I always can access the real location because of my observations. But nobody, I mean, there's a group, there's other ways you can request access to people's obscured observations, but just as a general CalFlora observer, all you'll be able to see is that obscured location of the quarter fund. And I did that to all of my dahlias the other day when they were, and I'm sending out a big email to like 200 dahlia observers asking them to all please obscure their observations because we don't want to be, as far as we know, nobody's used CalFlora. I mean, it's not that hard to find dahlias. It's like really obvious where they grow if you know the habitat. So I don't think anybody would use CalFlora to find them and dig them up, but we just want to make sure that we can't be implicated in any kind of dahlia poaching. So we're going to ask all 200 dahlia people to put theirs in, to obscure them. And then we're also going to say if you also have, to all rare plant observers, if you choose to obscure them, you can. And then we're going to have Christy Lazar from CMDDB be able to see the real locations and extract them for CMDDB. But yeah, it's a shame. I was reading about it, and you see these people with these huge piles of dahlias, and they're putting them on trucks, and it's so sad. It's bad for erosion.
Yeah, they're not catching.
Right. And I don't know, I mean, I guess they could increase the fine for poaching.
Yeah, I don't think.
What's going to prevent it?
More control.
Yeah, more people out there watching.